Welcome to part 3 of my 3-part series of wooden window frames repairs. In this part I will show you what I did with the cremones, I'll show my excellent painting skills, I'll share the finishing touches and reveal the end result.
I wanted to get nice silver cremones, basically new ones, but I was not willing to buy new. First, they were not broken, and second, the new ones for 2 windows would have been around 600 euros. So I cleaned the cremones from old paint using paint removal and the iron brush. To get the details nice and clean, I also used screwdrivers and a knife, basically anything pointed to get the old paint out of the details. To get the moving parts back in order, I also had some help from good old friend WD-40. As you can see, I forgot to use gloves and I got the skin burn from the paint removal. Please use gloves when working with chemicals. A mask would have been a great idea as well. After getting the paint and rust off, I cleaned them and covered with anti-rust. That had to be done as soon as possible because the scraping and chemicals made the metal receptive to rust. After the anti-rust was dry, I started painting them. I should have covered them with some pre-layer, because some metal parts are already showing rust. If you have any idea what I should have used, please let me know in the comments. For painting the moving parts without gluing them together with paint, I had a little trick. First, I covered the handles with tape and sprayed the paint on the moving parts. After spraying, I moved the handles until the paint was dry. Then I covered the moving parts with the tape and painted the handles. I know there is also a trick with the string, but that didn't work for me. After getting 2 layers of silver spray paint on the cremones, they looked as new and I had saved 600 euros. As I shared in the last part, it is a good idea to paint the frames after glazing, because the putty needs to be covered with paint as well. My other recommendation is to let the putty to dry over a week. I painted the frames in variation of 3 days after glazing up to a month after glazing, and the paint on the putty that I only had 3 days to dry started to peel off after a few days. So patience is the key in painting. Unfortunately, I don't have it. I finished painting the last frames in January and I did it in a hurry. The winter had already started and my husband was getting anxious. I used 3 coats of white paint on the frames, and because I was in a hurry, I did not wait until the first coat was properly dry. So I ruined the paintwork in some places. But it is okay. I will sand off the ugly parts in the spring and give the finishing touches then. When I painted the frames, I used a bigger brush and I did not bother taping the glass. When the paint was dry, I just scraped off the excess paint. With the window stool and trim, I did some minor repairs, using glass fiber putty, and of course there was a lot of sanding and cleaning, and in addition cleaning the whole apartment from the sanding. After getting all the trim done, the apartment started to look much nicer. When the paint had dried, I put all the windows back on. Luckily, the windows had a marking on them, so they all found their old home. Before installing the cremones, I put some white grease in them. For installing, I used new screws that were slightly longer. After getting all the windows back where they belong, I stuffed the cracks with white cotton. This is the best method for sealing the old windows. The rubber seals have constant width and taping the windows collects mold. The fabric can be adjusted to crack size and it keeps it humid-free. I also stuffed the cracks in the outer window frames, though I have heard it is a bad idea, but the cracks were just too big. Though my doors are still waiting for new knobs and there is some paintwork to redo, at the moment I call this project finished. It is far from perfection, but it's much better than before. It took me much more time than I had planned, but also the end result gives me more satisfaction than I anticipated. I do feel renovating is not my strongest side, and in the future I will invest my time to my other hobbies. Thank you for watching. Bye.